Desidero ardentemente il tuo tocco delicato. Una scarica elettrica mi percorre la pelle. Sono travolto da un impeto interiore. Siamo arrivati sulla Terra nello stesso giorno, nello stesso compleanno. Nessun confine potrebbe fermare la nostra passione. Trovando una via.
Yo, magnificent. Look at that. Luna Fantastico. Buonasera, Mondo. Good evening, world. It's author the Meerkat Man, the Mongoose Man, Grant Malcolm McIlrath, here in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve of the Meerkat Magic Conservation Project. Yeah, and in the background is my newly released single. Yeah. Jamming. Yeah. Full moon, baby. Yeah, at the Stone Dojo Gym. OUDTSHOORN, Western Cape of South Africa. The most famous pile of rocks in South Africa, all built by hand. And the only outdoor dojo gym like it's made out of rocks in the world. Full moon over the Stone Dojo, my friends. Oh, I watched the moon this morning setting as the sun rose, and it was stupendous. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. I certainly have had a magnificent day in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve of the Meerkat Magic Conservation Project. Remember, friends, if you would like to visit me, this is not a tourism project. It is a wildlife research and conservation project and film project. However, I do take people out for a gym session at no charge. So if you want to visit me, you're welcome to. It is a charity I run for the local community because, of course, there are no excuses, not ever. Yeah, if you want to sing, it doesn't matter what you sound like. Your voice is unique, even if everyone else thinks it's absolutely abysmal and terrible and the worst thing they've ever heard. It doesn't matter, and nor does it the worst thing they've ever heard. It doesn't matter, and nor does it matter if everyone's telling you, oh, you can't train, you can't do anything, you're not fit enough. Just ignore them. Yeah, no excuses, because it took me years to build the Stone Dojo up on that hill. And it's not even anywhere near completion because it will never be finished because it is an ongoing, growing task. It's a deposit in your fitness bank. Every single person who visits the Stone Dojo Gym, and you can Google search for that, it is world famous. You can find it no matter where you are, even if you're in a remote place in South America, in a jungle. As you can see, I'm in my own jungle here. We've had floods in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve twice already. Hey, good evening. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. Big hearts to you as well. If I could use both hands, I'd give you a little heart right now, my friends. Yeah. Thanks so much. I do like to bring you the real live forecasts and none of this AI deception here. You can see what's going on there just after sunset in the Little Karoo, die Klein Karoo. There's so much light. Yeah, Jupiter, Venus, and of course Mars. A shout out to our future colony up there. But for now, we're all on this rock, so you may as well get cozy. You may as well get comfortable, my friends. And there's no moon base that we know of yet, unless they've already built one on the dark side of the moon. All right, my friends, I want you all to howl. I don't care where you are. Let's hear you howl, or are you afraid of what you might release? Yes, that's correct. I will set off all the Canis mesomelas, the black-backed jackals in the area, the roy jackals, my friends. Yes. because I can promise you now, they are out and about. It is not a good idea. If you are out there right now, get inside where it's safe, my friends. There are beasts hunting tonight. I kid you not, because I'm living in a reserve with them right now. And if you're one of the hunted hunters, it's best to stay safe. Yeah, safe indoors, underground, my friends. Thank you for all the love. Hey, big love to you. I hope you're busy singing. I hope you're singing to my new soundtrack. You feather the wings of my dreams and give them flight. To rendi, reali, de mie sogni. Yeah. It's been a freezing day, and I've been up since before sunrise, as you will know if you were with me. Yeah, this morning we did this song, probably the first in its world, At Sunrise, by the Beatles, cover track. Here comes the sun. And they demonetized me because they obviously could recognize the lyrics, so I take it as a compliment. Woo! Yeah, it's a magnificent evening. Let's just scan up ahead, my friends. Look at these stars. Oh, my word. It's magnificent. There we have the Southern Cross, die Suiderkruis crux. Yeah, that 5-star point constellation with the 2 pointers there. Let's just zoom in a bit there. As we look at the night sky, or as we like to say in South Africa, the high 5. Yeah, South Africans have a hang-up about 5 for some reason. Who knows? The big 5, the little 5. Even I have come up with a concept, the shy 5. Yes, decades ago. But yeah, we have the high 5, my friends. Oh, look at that moonlight. Isn't it absolutely wonderful? Yeah, but beware. If you are into lycanthropy, you will know what I'm talking about. Anyone know what that is? I'm sure you do. Come on. You've seen so many films by now. Yeah. It's time for the nighttime creatures to come out. As I like to say with the Blade film, there's another world. Yeah, there's a world just beneath that sugar-coated crust we all live in. Well, out here, a subterranean world. I call it the world beneath our feet. This is, of course, the home of the Meerkats from the Ungulungu Meerkat group, world famous since 2001. And, of course, the Tsibokolodi Yellow Mongoose group that I've been protecting here under this very same moon since 2008. And it is magnificent. The frogs are frogging. Oh, they're calling. Next to the STONE Dojo Dam, which is the largest privately owned water feature in this area. And you're welcome to visit it. Just hit me up on WhatsApp. Remember, my friends, this is not a tourism site. No, it is a wildlife conservation and research site and film site. But I do take friends out at no charge. So if you'd like to get out in the wilderness, nature is for everyone. I'm a professional nature conservationist. I qualified in 1993. This is what I do. I'm always out in nature. Many people have forgotten what it's like just to get out there to roar and to release their inner beast. Don't be afraid, my friends. Are you afraid? Don't be. Yeah. Anyway, people have been doing it for millennia, my friends, and if you haven't done it yet, why not? How old are you? When last did you howl at the moon? Oh, I can't do it. I will get in trouble. What will people think if I howl at the moon? I don't care. That's why I give you a live stream video, and I love all the hearts. Thank you, my friends. Big love to you all. Yes. Remember to like, share, and sub on my YouTube channel as well. I really appreciate all of you. Drop a comment. Go to my YouTube channel. There are over 2 million views, over 1,800 videos. Yes. And I will get back to you if you put in a comment there for me. All right, let's have a look at what's going on around here. Enough of that. For those who know me, you will know, yeah, I'm better known as the man behind the hand. Yeah, because of this, which I've used with chimpanzee in Uganda, Kibale rainforest. I kid you not. I've been walking around there with wild chimpanzee back in 97. When I was in Uganda, Queen Elizabeth Park as well, next to Lake Edward, Ruwenzori Mountains, the Virungas and the Kazinga Channel. Just listening to those names brings goosebumps back to me. And it's not the freezing cold weather here where I can see the breath in front of my face. It's got even colder than it was this morning. But let's just have a look at some planets, my friends. Yes, do you recognize what it is? Huh? That's Jupiter, my friends. Yes. Isn't it incredible? We're all on the same rock right now. We're not getting off anytime soon. So you may as well get cozy, pull up a chair. We're here for the long ride on this spaceship going around the sun. It doesn't matter where you were born, what you look like or anything. We're all just genetic time travelers, as I call it. We're here because of our ancestors. They made it possible. Just think of them in the past sitting around fires, singing and chanting and howling. Yes, doesn't matter how civilized, inverted commas, air quotes people think they are now. It's easy to forget where we actually come from. And the fact is we were all out in nature in the past, and many people have forgotten their origin stories. So I'm here to remind you, like that dog calling in the distance, it's also being reminded of its origin story now that it has come from a lupus, a wild wolf. The little chihuahua, even looking up at the moon, remembers that it was once a wolf. That's quite profound. Yeah, you heard it here first, my friends. Drop some love, please. I'm going to say something for you all, as I always like to say whenever we are out here at the Stone Dojo Gym, martial arts dojo, outdoor gym, eco gym in South Africa. And that is to our Japanese inspirations. Dojo means place of learning, the place of the way. So, of course, I would be remiss if I did not say something in Japanese for you friends. Yes. Konnichiwa, totemo yoi tomodachi. Gurusai, homon. Utsukushi. That means beautiful. I love that word. Utsukushi. Utsukushi. Shotokan Karate Budo Dojo. The martial arts dojo. So please come and visit the beautiful martial arts dojo, the Stone Dojo Gym. Yes. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much. Sayonara. Not just sayonara. That's just bye. Sayonara is like, hey, very good, very warm goodbye. Toyoi, my very good Tomodachi friends, minasan, everybody. I usually don't translate that for everybody out there who doesn't speak Japanese, but I thought I would this evening. And of course, some other greetings for you. Yes. Buonasera, amica. Ciao a tutti. Passa una bellissima sera. For our Italian friends out there. And of course, for Alessia Torchini, ti amo, amore mio, sempre per sempre, amore della mia vita. Yes. Mi manchi tantissimo, Alessia. Goeienaand almal, ek hoop dit gaan baie goed met julle en dat julle nou die buitelug bietjie geniet. Onthou, ons is almal wilde diere. Moet nou nie bang wees om uit te gaan en 'n bietjie na die maan te gaan kyk nie. En onthou, jou voorouers was ook hier buite in die veld gewees en hulle het altyd daar opgekyk na die maan. Dink nou net terug aan hulle toe hulle daar gestaan het en opgekyk na die maan. Think about what it was like, my friends. All our ancestors staring up at the exact same rock in the sky, just hanging there. Can you imagine what they were thinking? Can you imagine that they had no idea one day we would be going around the moon as a species? It's absolutely profound and incredible. But don't forget, we're just primitive animals at the end of it. Yeah. Yes, we are. Some are more primitive than others, I like to say. Those who still think that killing everyone for a piece of crust that we are all walking on and have no say about where we are born is actually a legitimate reason. Yeah. I'm not going to get demonetized by getting into politics, but I can tell you now, when you get in touch with nature, you stop all the nonsense immediately because you get in touch with yourself. Yeah. All our feather travelers out there, big love to you all, as always, directly from the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve. Yeah. That's my music playing, my friends. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. If you make something yourself, stop making excuses. And if that's all you've been doing, you can stop them right now. All you need to do, get out there, do a few push-ups. Just start, go for a walk, enjoy being good to yourself. You deserve it. You're worth it. Remember, you're unique. Nobody can ever condescend to you or talk down to you or make you feel bad unless you allow it. Please remember that, my friends. I teach my students. I've got dozens of students around the reserve who've been visiting here for decades already, learning not just about improving themselves and getting stronger and overcoming challenges, which is what the dojo is all about. It teaches you a discipline in life, which is all about not giving up, not making excuses, and remembering you can never fail unless you yourself believe that you have become a failure. And nobody is beyond redemption. Nobody on this rock. Yeah, as long as you're still here, you have a choice. And my choice is to bring you a live video stream right now of the moon. And one more time, everyone. And yeah, let's hear. Nobody this evening. They're quiet. It's still early though. They're waking up from their wildlife hotels, as I like to call them. I've been sleeping all day. Now it's time to go out for some takeaways. And if you're unfortunate and you will be one of the takeaways, I suggest you take cover now, my friends. If you are a juicy snack, yeah, you might not think of yourself as that. Why? Because people have forgotten. People have lost track, unless you are living in a reserve around animals that can eat you. Yes, I won't sleep outside here tonight. Not without a tent. I slept in Uganda in Queen Elizabeth Park in a tent, and a hippopotamus, one of the most dangerous animals on this planet, decided to scent mark my tent. Yeah, at about 2 o'clock in the morning. That was a terrifying moment because it was at the entrance of the tent and I couldn't move. And I just heard what sounded like as it ripped out the shoots and the roots of all the vegetation around the tent. I was right slap bang in its territory. What an idiotic person I have been. But as I like to say, you learn if you survive. Don't keep making the same stupid mistakes as I have, my friends. Yeah, and that's again what the dojo represents. Every day when I see that pile of rocks, that gym, I'm like, you know what? I'm stronger than I was yesterday. It's not just about physical strength, it's mental fortitude, my friends. Applied power with purpose, as I call it. Yeah. You get out there, you make a difference to everything that you do. And it may seem small, it may seem insignificant. I'm going to tell you a little story now, my friends. So please gather around for Grandfather Grant as I tell you the story. But first, a shout out to some of our other fellow South Africans and Africans here in this stream. Ujambo Rafiki. Sijambo. Habari yako mzuri sana. Safari njema. Sawubona baba, mama. Unjani gikwana wen unjani. Salani gashle, mbani gashle. Dumela, lika erita ngonokai. Dumelang. Uchuchiliang. Gitsama peni, ayu. Yes, my friends. Guten Tag, guten Abend, guten Abend. Yeah, a bit rusty on my German because I wanted to tell you about the porcupine. The iron pig. That is my favorite of all the names for the Hystrix africae australis is not my favorite. That is a scientific name, but it's the same name recognized no matter what country you're in this particular area. It is known as the Eystervark. Direct translation from Afrikaans is the iron pig. A shout out to our friends in Holland. Ravi, if you see this, one of our recent sponsors, we appreciate you and your father. Happy Father's Day for the other day again. Yes. Stiegelvark. Yes. The Stiegelvark. I love that name. The prickly pig. Stiegel. It will stiegel you, my friends. I love seeing some of these direct translations from other languages. It's hysterical. That's so good. Language is a tool, and it's fun. Just think about this. We are all born with the ability, well, not all, I shouldn't generalize like that. Most people are able to cry, even now, even though they forget it. Yeah, just like a dog can bark, a cat can meow, a meerkat can... And of course, let me throw in some mongoose for you. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that now. Yeah, I speak many languages, my friend, because it's all about communication. And if you can't communicate, well, there's no such thing. You can, no matter how you communicate. We even communicate with scent. The SMSs I talk about, sent short message systems, smellogram. Animals are doing it all the time. A shout out to Elon Musk and technocrats like Mark Zuckerberg, because humans are way behind in technology. That's right. Even with AI, we are way behind. This is the real deal. This is the real world of technology out here, my friends. They've perfected it. People have become tame in most places of the world. They've forgotten what it's like to live off the land, to be in nature. This is ecotherapy. Get out there and remind yourself. And the first thing you can do right now, because it's the same moon. No matter where you are on this rock, you cannot escape. Yes, not yet. Not yet. I love that line from Gladiator. Big shout out there. Imagine the wolves howling at the moon right now. Imagine the porcupine I was telling you about, foraging for roots, following the path, the footsteps of its ancient ancestral pathways. Yes. Stachelschwein. It sounds like a swear word. That's the German, and I love it. Stachelschwein. It's almost like Stierlvark. It's going to prickle you. And then, of course, Italian. Porcospino. Big shout out to our beautiful friend in Italy right now at Asia Torchini and family, Asia Chile. Good evening, buonasera. Because there they've just had a wild porcupine 2 nights ago coming to visit. Yes, a wild porcupine in Italy. What a magnificent beast. And of course, wild boars, which get a terrible rap. Maiale. Yeah, Selvatica. It's very unfortunate. But over here, you may think, oh, there are no pigs. We don't have warthogs. They used to be called Phacoquerus, Ethiopicus, and Potamoquerus porcus. And here's one for you. The forest abadari. Holoquerus. Meinherz-Hageni. Can you believe that terrible scientific name? And I had to learn these, otherwise I would lose points in my exams in nature conservation. And now they've gone and changed most of the scientific names that we were learning back in the 90s. Yeah, even though they said, oh, it's basically like the Lord of the Rings, one name basically to rule them all. And then they changed it and made many of them, as people do. They get greedy and they want to change things over time. So, not to get too off the point while we're looking at this beautiful moon, I just drink it in. I get the vitamin D, delicious as I call it, during the daytime hours, that sunlight, getting sucked into the skin. Remember, guys and gals out there, you do need to get sunlight. Yeah, it's been shown scientifically, and I am a research biologist, and I can tell you right now, it's good for your testosterone levels. And so is howling at the moon. When last did you growl? I want to hear your roars, my friend. I want to hear them so loudly I can hear them through the screen. Come on. If you haven't been into the reserves in Africa, do yourself a favor right now and remind yourself that you're part of the food chain, my friends. Yes. Many people forget, and when they go for a swim in the ocean, they're surprised to find, oh, we are not alone. Yes, they are beasties. They are nunus. Yes, they are. As they are here. Look at this jungle right here. Look at this. Can barely even walk through this area anymore. That's how I like it. The jungle has come to me after the floods. As I mentioned this morning, and as I like to say to all of our botanist friends, this is Malva parviflora de Kissiblar. It's like a spinach. In fact, if you're here right now, which you are, of course, I would give you a demonstration and eat this leaf. But you can cook it or eat it raw. It's delicious, and it's been grown for thousands of years around the world. Yeah. Here I am at the Meerkat Mansion Valley Reserve. The Meerkat Magic Conservation Project, the Mongoose Mansion. It's a joke because this is basically like a tent. I've got a little bed here, and that's basically it. It's very simple, and that's the way I like it deliberately. I live like a monk, Spartan. I live close to nature. This is the outskirts. Where's the light pollution apart from my solar panel lights? Yeah, off-grid clean energy, my friends, from Seoul. That burning that we all see in the sky every day. And we're so lucky. When last did you actually just take a moment to do this right now and look up at the moon? And look up at the stars and ask yourself this question, my friends. Yeah. Look up at Andromeda, the galaxy, our nearest solar system. 80,000 plus light years away, supposedly. Remember, my friends, that's hundreds of thousands of kilometers an hour in a second as well, speed of light. Now imagine traveling for 80,000 years at that speed. Yep. It's insane to even contemplate it, that there are billions and billions of galaxies, and we're just in one, the Milky Way right now that we know of. And there are trillions and trillions of planets. Saturn and Jupiter, they have so many moons, but we've got this one, so it's worth getting out and enjoying it while we can. Look at that. Let's just zoom in again. Even if you've got low-powered binoculars like a 7x10, you'll pick up beautiful light. I mean, that's almost like a sunrise right there. Oh, and in the distance, I can hear some white noise blending in with my thrash metal soundtrack right now that I released last night. Yeah. That's Numida Meligris for our scientific friends out there, and for those who are familiar with my stream. As I said this morning, I quite like it. The guinea fowl, the tarantal, looks almost like a little grey chicken with white polka dots speckled all over it. That's them calling right now. Chirp, 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 chirp. That's just their territorial demarcation or territory mark. It is not the alarm call, which is very rapid sound that they make. They are part of the neighborhood watch, as are everything else in this area. As is, I should say. Yeah. Should and do. The frogs have gone quiet, because when there's a predator nearby, they zip it. Yeah, zip it, zip it, zip it. Like they have in Austin Powers, the line there. I like that one. Zip it.com. Anyway, just enjoying myself out here. It's good to have you along for the ride, my friends. Sitting here on my shoulder. Yeah. So, the frogs go quiet. They're also part of the neighborhood watch, is my point. If there's danger about, they will go quiet. And I like to say, just like the cicada, that diminutive insect, the sonbesi, it'll go quiet as soon as it senses danger. And that's why I say it is the loudest call of the silent call. The frogs are popping again. Pop, pop. There are just a few here outside the mansion. But at the STONE Dojo Dam, there are countless thousands of them with an overwhelming chorus of celebration as they are all bringing in the next generation. Yeah, it's easy to forget that we were all smaller than the tiniest little speck that you see on the ground, a little ant, a fellow traveler. We were all smaller than that when we came onto this planet. Yeah, that's a fact. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how much money you have or what you're wearing or what car you drive or political beliefs. We were all smaller than a little ant, my friends. And anybody who has forgotten that, I suggest you go out and walk around with lions and other wild animals in a reserve with a trained guide or research biologist like myself, of course. So let me just put this fine print there in case people say, oh, I got eaten the other day and I'm only able to give you this message from intensive care. Don't go walk around with wild animals unless you're with a qualified biologist or somebody who knows what they're talking about, who's going to rescue you. And I'm not talking about someone carrying a gun. Remember, they're the ones carrying the gun. If your guide has a gun, you're walking around with elephants and rhinoceros. No, they're not going to eat you, but they will trample you into dust if you disturb their breakfast or lunch or evening snacks. Just a warning out there for my friends who've been in reserves. You'll know what I'm talking about. And for those who haven't, who living in a little cage, who are tame, this is no disrespect. I know what it's like. Get out of the city, go for a walk in the park. Just get out there. Get on your mountain bike and come and visit me. I will take you into wilderness areas you cannot even imagine still exist all around us, because the wild world is all around us, just waiting patiently. Millennia is just like a little breath for this beautiful planet that we're all on. We're all scuttling about on the crust. Isn't that profound, my friends? We were all smaller than a little ant. Yeah. And if people start getting big attitudes, I suggest you go have a look up at the night sky and remind yourself just how absolutely insignificant most things are. And I'm not talking about us, because we are absolutely not insignificant. You, my friends, you right now are incredibly important. Big love to you, no matter who you are. Remember, we're all travelers on this planet. And as a professional nature conservationist, I'm everybody's friend who wants to be my friend, because I protect nature for everybody. Nobody owns nature. It doesn't matter if you put up a fence. It doesn't matter if you think that animal belongs to you. It doesn't. Yeah, it belongs to the world, as do we. People forget we are nature. Yeah, people, I'm going to go for a walk in nature. As soon as you even go for a walk, you're already in nature. You're in your skin, my friends. You heard that here. I should copyright that, by the way. Yeah. Patent pending. Yes. So, as I blabber on here with all sorts of strange thoughts, it's a reminder to me of how I need to get this bonfire going again. For all of you who want to see it, remember you can come out and visit me again as friends. I don't take tourists and guests out here. This is my beautiful fire circle, very primitive, with logs and a fire pit. Yeah, just like our ancestors would have enjoyed, many of whom sat inside caves. Yeah, don't forget that. Anthropology is fascinating, my friends. If you are forgetting what it's like to be a human, go walk into a cave. And I highly recommend you visit, and this is not a sponsorship, the Kango Caves here in OUDTSHOORN in the Western Cape of South Africa. And if you really want a spelunking, what a ridiculous name in my opinion, experience, cave crawling, go on the adventure trail. Yes, go deep underneath this crust that everyone's running around on right now. Yeah, and then you'll see how ancient things actually are. Stalactites, stalagmites, pillars. Do yourself a massive life favor, my friends. Go underground. Imagine what it's like for a meerkat and a mongoose and all the other fossorial, those are the digging mammals out there. Yeah, because right now many of them are sleeping. Many of them are just waking up. Many of them are hunting. But if you go into the Kango caves, imagine what it was like for the very first people who ever went into the cave system. And also remember, it is a World Heritage Site, as is the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Great Black Mountain Range, way off in the distance. I can just make out the darkest silhouette against the beautiful navy blue, inky blackness out there, the cobalt dome, as I call it in my butterfly poem. Yes, for those who haven't heard it, check out my YouTube channel. Yes, I do talk to animals. Yes, I do sing to animals. And yes, I recite poems to them too. And I did this live the other day. I hope you caught the stream on YouTube. If you haven't been to my YouTube channel, please do. And drop me a comment there. Yeah, there are over 1,800 videos, over 2 million views. It's a channel dedicated to open source communication, conservation through education, and research. And of course, just expressing ourselves. Yeah. That is a love ballad I wrote on the 6th of June for Alessia Torchini. That is why you will see it all over the internet now. In Italian, in French. Parlez-vous français, petit peu? Yes. All of our international friends and supporters out there. Yes, I'm getting to your versions. I've already done the Japanese version. I have also done the Afrikaans versions. Yes, the mixes. And I've even done Pasiba. Our Russian versions for our Russian friends out there. I am friends with everybody on this rock. That's the bottom line. As I've said, you can't help where you are born or where you arrive if you weren't born. If you arrived through a C-section or something else miraculous, welcome to the planet. Welcome to the rock. And I'm not talking about Alcatraz. But it may as well be called Alcatraz because you and I are not getting off it anytime soon unless you know of something I don't. Yeah? Maybe? Drop a comment. So looking up at our potential moon base, imagine looking back down at Gaia, this geoid rock hanging in emptiness, going around the sun. One star, the sun. And when you look up and you see all of those countless stars, some people ask me, oh, but how do you know that's a planet or a star or planetary body? Because they reflect light, they don't create their own light. A star generates light. Yeah. Without getting too technical, I'm sure there will be some astrophysicists out there saying, oh, Grant, stick to meerkats and mongooses. What do you know about astrophysics? Yeah. I know this, my friends, that nobody owns the stars. Nobody owns the planets. Yeah. And people should remind themselves of that as well, because nobody owns the very ground we are on right now. It doesn't matter if you inherited it from a previous generation. We're all on this planet. And every now and again, it has unbelievable mood swings. And that's another reminder to us to stop all the nonsense, everybody out there, and just get along. Yeah, because we're all on the same planet. That's right. It doesn't matter how many billions or even a trillion plus you have. We're all on the same rock for now. Doesn't Jupiter look absolutely astounding? Yeah. Just after sunset a few nights ago, you could have seen Mercury and Venus and Jupiter just above the horizon. I'm just enjoying being with you this evening, my friends. As you can hear, it's just myself and the wildlife who are used to the racket I make. And the reason I always make a racket when I'm walking around wilderness spaces is not to be rude. It's to let everybody know where I am, which is the opposite of rude. If you are a predator, you will be stealthy and you will be creeping around. Hear that? I say if you are a predator. All right, let me just refresh everybody's memory in case you've forgotten. If you're vegan or vegetarian, please do not be concerned, because I can tell you now, you are a predator. For anybody out there who believes if you are vegan, because I have been as an experiment, and vegetarian, we are all predators. Yes, you, my friend, who is watching this right now, you are a predator. Yeah, it doesn't matter how tame you are, even if you're wearing clothes and sitting in some comfortable abode on a couch or wherever with air conditioning, you are a predator. You, me. We are all predators. Yeah, yes we are. Have a look at our teeth. We've got canines. Did you forget? Incisors and canines, premolaris, molaris. Yes, just like the meerkat and mongoose have teeth. Anything that has teeth. Can tell you that story. So many people have forgotten their origin stories, and that's why I'm here to remind everybody out there who has forgotten. As your live streaming wildlife biologist on this rock right now, I take it upon myself to bring you the real, unedited, behind the scenes and science life stories. So, yes, we are predators, my friend. It doesn't matter what you eat. And remember, whenever you are breathing, you're already digesting bacteria and everything else in the air. Yeah, a big shout out to all our friends who survived the terrible experiences of years ago. I won't mention the vid. Yeah, in full. What a revolting experience that was. But anyway, if you're here now, congratulations. Yeah. And a shout out to all those who are not with us. A moment of silence, lest we forget. Big love to you all. Yeah, it's good to get out there, be introspective, remind ourselves of how incredible it is to be here right now. It's so easy to get aggressive and impatient on a day-to-day basis when we are all crammed on top of each other, living in situations that are not natural. It's only when people start getting away from it that they remind themselves, oh, we are actually wild animals. And that's why I said again, my friends, you are predators. Yes. However, we are predators with a choice. No, you cannot choose when you breathe to not breathe in bacteria. So in fact, we are all mass murderers. How many bacteria did we all murder today? Countless trillions. Just think about it, just by breathing. So nobody is innocent. Nobody can point fingers at anybody else first and say, oh, but what you're eating, what you're not eating. Yes, yes, yes. If you're here right now, if you are surviving, we are predators, just deal with it because that's a fact. We are wild animals, and many people have forgotten this. Yes. Ooh, look, 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 look. Is that one of Elon Musk's? Starlink? Could it be? There it goes. And that's not an aircraft, my friends. And how do we know this? Because it's not flicking Morse code at us. Yeah, it's reflecting light off the moon. Yeah, look at that. It may as well be the sunrise. Isn't that phenomenal, my friends? I love having you here, by the way. Let's just do a little shadow figurine for you. When last did you try that, my friends? The moon is beautiful. Who remembers that song? Way back. The moon is beautiful. Yeah, I wonder how many of you do. Yes, my friends, I've been around for a while. Yeah, I see some hearts. There you go. That's it. Thank you. Yes, I've been around for more than half a century already, my friends. Yes, I have been on this rock for over half a century. And as I said, it may as well be Alcatraz because you're not getting off it. I enjoyed that one with Sean Conroy. Legendary actor and man. But yeah, you escape from the rock, but you don't escape from the rock. Maybe Elon Musk will help with a mass exodus. The first real escape from Alcatraz will take place. Yeah, anyway, moving on as I have these weird thoughts. It's easy. Just get out there. Stop watching television. Put down this phone, my friends. Stop watching me and what I'm watching. And do yourself a favor and just get out there and experience it live. Of course, you're very welcome. I'm not chasing you away. To stay here with me and enjoy my thrash metal, didgeridoo, tribal drum, jungle mix. Yeah, I made that last night. But of course, it's AI assisted. Full disclosure, the lyrics are 100% mine though, and have never existed until I created them. Yeah, you feather the wings. Yes, that's how it goes, my friends. You don't need to know the lyrics. Alessia, adorabila Alessia, tu rendi. You feather the wings of my dreams and give them flight. No matter the engulfing darkness, you shine ever bright. Yeah. Oh, I love that lady. What an incredible person. If you are lucky enough to be with somebody who you really, really connect with, I'm happy for you, my friends. It's an incredible experience, because to even connect with another being, a mongoose or a meerkat, a cat, a dog, a cockroach or an ant, or anything that you come across, one of our fellow travelers right now, remember, even the smallest, most insignificant, in somebody's opinion, creature that you may come across and plant is only here right now because of all of the ancestors that made it possible. Yeah. I like to say our ancestors beat in our blood. Right now, your heart, or maybe if you're listening to my thrash metal soundtrack. Yeah, get down, get down. Yeah, my point is, you're beating ancestral DNA. Yeah, we are genetic time travelers. We are. Traveling through time, just like the lion, just like the hyena, just like the porcupine. Oh, let me remind myself to remind you to get out there again and go look for the hidden creatures of the night. And I'm not talking about Blade. Yeah, the world you live in is just a sugar-coated topic. There's another world beneath it. Wesley Snipes, what a legend. I love that film. Anyway, moving on. No, there are no vampires here that I know of, except for these pestilence zanzara, as Alessia likes to call them, zanzara. That's mosquito for our Italian friends out there, and for those who didn't know, you can be glad that's just me. It's not actually a mosquito landing on you. And as I like to say, everything is trying to make a living off everything else. So I'm not going to become a Grant takeaways. They won't be able to penetrate this thick layer. I've got 2 tracksuit pants on now, 3 jackets, 2 woolen caps, but my poor hands are freezing. But I will freeze for you, my friends, to bring you this live stream, because it is such an incredible opportunity. Who knows what is going to happen next? Nobody knows. Nobody here knows. It doesn't matter what they tell you. Nobody knows, except right now, and nobody knows how much time anybody has, so enjoy every single moment of it, I like to say. And that's also why I say mongoose magic moments and meerkat magic moments. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about the ant bear that I mentioned. I wonder if any of you know what an ant bear is. The name seems to already tell us what it is. However, that's just one of the names. It is also known as an aardvark. That is an English name, my friends. I kid you not. A-A-R-D. Art, yeah, vark from the Afrikaans, V-A-R-K. No, I did not swear YouTube. And TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Aardvark. It's a real word, my friends. Yeah. And even if it wasn't recognized before, I'm telling you right now, Orycteropus affa, the aardvark, is what I call a termite's worst nightmare. And right now, there are nuptial flights happening all around us. Ja, my vriende, ek praat nou nie van 'n kakkerlak nie. I'm not talking about a cockroach, my friends. I'm talking about a termite. Yeah. Yes, endothermies, exothermies. It's time for some science bombardment on your heads right now. I bet you weren't expecting that when you logged in here. But of course, it's conservation through education, and that's not a switch I ever turn off. So here goes. Die reismuur. Guess what, everybody? If you were told that's what it's called, yes, but it's incorrect. Afrikaans, my dearest friends out there, and I have many, many of them who have this beautiful language. A reismuur is a direct translation would be a rice ant, because it looks white, a reismuur, and maybe it looks a bit like a grain of rice. It is not a muur, it is not an ant. It is related to the cockroach family. That's why if you see the mounds of sand, that's exothermies, E-X-O, not endo, under the ground where the ground is too hard. They will build upwards. Where it's soft, they will build downwards in areas. Yeah, termites. Those are not antheals, they're called termitaria. Okay, end of science lesson. Ding ding. Moving on. So, a termite's worst vacuum cleaner. Nightmare. Eating over 200,000 or 300,000 termites per night. And on a night like this, I promise you right now, they're busy snuffling and snorting and munching away at thousands and thousands of unfortunate termites right now. The ant bear. They can dig a hole in a matter of minutes. They're incredibly powerful diggers. I'm talking about meters deep into concrete or cement-like soil, my friend. Just to put that in perspective, the meerkats dig thousands of holes every single day when they are out looking for food. There's the guinea fowl calling in the background. Yeah. Inverted commas, non-scientific terms when I say something like an anthropomorphic statement. A human term to describe animal behavior. I'm dropping a jargon bomb on your heads now for our English pedantics out there and scientists. Yes, the guinea fowl that I say is like a spotted polka dot grey chicken. The helmeted guinea fowl, Numida meleagris, there's the scientific name for you. Not Gutera pucharani, I mentioned them this morning. You can Google those names, I'm not making them up. Somebody else thought it was very funny when they made them up, probably. Anyway, the helmeted guinea fowl is busy calling, which is a bad career move. Most of the time, if you see a guinea fowl, they will be running away. And the reason they do this is quite simple, I like to say, not to sound poetic here. It's because they know they are delicious. They know that they are part of the food chain, a very important part of the food chain. And although I love them very dearly in this area, just like the francolin, you will seldom see them for more than a few moments as they run for cover. So calling is extremely dangerous, my friends, if you are out in nature, because you let everything know where you are. And that is why I do it when I'm around wildlife, because I want them to know where I am. That way they don't get a surprise. It's not good to get a surprise if you're out in the wilderness, because most things that give a surprise are hunting other things. And as I like to say, as I said earlier, everything is trying to make a living off everything else. And if you snooze, you will lose. Yes. So if you don't want to be at takeaways, I won't mention any brand names here, but you can fill in that gap for yourself. Don't become a big or a delicious king for a mosquito. But there are far larger predators out here right now. Not far from us in an undisclosed location, which I will not reveal. Yeah, no money can buy me. Not in nature conservation. Trillions and billions don't mean anything, yeah. Ooh, look, look, look. That's when you know. Let's go, come on. Yes, TikTok. Just checking that I am not a bot. No TikTok. No crazy AI is standing out here in OUDTSHOORN in the Western Cape of South Africa, freezing their fingers off, if they had any fingers, Optimus Prime, to bring you this live stream right now. Yes. I'm not even wearing my world famous shoes, which have been scent marked by the wild meerkats from the Ungulungu meerkat group and the Tsebokolori yellow mongoose and the Shongololo grey mongoose. Look there, my friends. I'm walking around in socks. Hello. Yes. It's freezing cold here. It's probably about 2 degrees centigrade right now. With all the rainfall we've recently had. This morning there was frost on the Malva parviflora, these jungle-like thickets growing around the mansion. Let me see. I was telling you about termite vacuum cleaners. I've already told you a bit about porcupine. Yes, these are all residents of the Wildlife Hotel. And if you'd like to find out more about what a wildlife hotel is, no, I'm not talking about the Ritz or the Trump Hotel or anything else like that. No, I am talking about wildlife hotels, which have been around long before people even knew what a hotel was, my friends. Yes, I'm talking about holes in the ground, wildlife hotels. And many places have been plowed over and developed, and natural habitat, as I like to say, just because it's out of sight, shouldn't be out of mind. There's another world beneath our feet, a hidden world. That's right, my friends. It's a world of diggers. Meerkats and mongooses are losing their habitat all over this planet because people don't even know they're there in most cases, because they keep to themselves and run away. And unlike elephant and rhinoceros, which get all the attention in the media often, the big five. And I was like, whoa, put on some brakes, my friends. Just stop right there. Yes, all animals are important. Doesn't matter how big or small they are, is my point. Because without the smaller ones, there will not be any bigger ones. And I was the first to actually go and write a book on this very topic, meerkats, by author The Meerkat Man. Yes, you can find it. I was approached by New Holland Publishers in New Zealand to write a book, which was published in 2016 in Australia, New Zealand, and England. Maybe you can find yourself a copy of it in a good library or university now. Just check out Meerkats. It is the first conservation book ever written about them. Think about how many films we've done and how many other books there have been, and not one of them has ever addressed the topic of conservation of holes in the ground. Because people often will look at a hole and go, oh, that's nothing. It's empty. There's nothing there. But of course, all the animals go into the hole when there is danger nearby. Specifically, if you are doing an aerial survey, which is a very effective methodology for finding out the population of, say, elephant and rhinoceros and large animals, or a footpoint survey or a strip where people walk alongside through a reserve and count all the animals that run past them or that they pass on their left and right-hand side of them, you can get a very accurate idea of population dynamics. Mortality, death rates, natality, N-A-T-A-L-I-T-Y. A little bit of scientific jargon there again. But with meerkats and mongooses, you cannot, my friends. So please let me make this absolutely and abundantly and irrefutably clear to all of the Red Data Book scientists, fellow colleagues out there. You are all wrong. W-R-O-N-G, wrong. If you are putting out the nonsense, yeah, you will get the unfiltered versions of my live streams here, my friends. You are wrong, IUCN and Red Data Book species, to say the meerkat is not an endangered species. Yes, it is. I have studied them for longer, and I'm going to emphasize that because it's a verifiable fact, than anybody else, not in my lifetime, in history. It's a fact, since 1993 professionally. Yes, 2 of the 3 currently recognized subspecies, because the meerkat, the suricate, is in a terrible situation through habitat loss, especially in the Western Cape of South Africa. Yes, you're hearing firsthand. You may have seen some of our films about this and read it in my book. But the meerkats in the Kalahari are not an endangered subspecies. A subspecies, very briefly, has adapted to certain environmental conditions. For example, this subspecies is very dark in appearance, just very basically, and it can blend into the environment perfectly. It is adapted to this specific set of challenges. The one in the Kalahari Desert is much lighter and is adapted to a lighter environment, very basically and simplistically, to explain that. So, subspecies diverge. It's divergent development over a great deal of time through mutant alleles. You may have heard of albinism and melanism, black and white variations or versions of specific animals. Some are very dark and they adapt to a darker environment over time. And it is a mutant allele, mutant genetic trait that can become selected over time. Oh, I just heard a jackal. way off in the distance. Let's see if I can get it to call back. Yes, my friends, let's hear your version. Come on, don't be shy. You know you want to. Yes. Howl at the moon, my friends. If not now, when? Yeah. Anyway, my point is, coming back to the different subspecies. The one in the Kalahari Desert is adapted to that environment. The area there is not plowed because they don't plant crops like they do in the Western Cape. So burrow systems are destroyed. Yeah, the hidden world inherited for hundreds of years, possibly even longer, from one generation to the next. It's a matriarchal structure, dropping some science on you this evening. The meerkats have a matriarchal structure. The females are the leaders, not the males. Yes. The females are the most experienced in meerkat groups. It doesn't matter how big and strong they are. It is determined by age and experience. The longer they have been around, the more they know about the neighborhood and where to go to escape from danger. Yeah, that's right. And it is matrilineal. Yeah, please drop a comment. Let me know what you think of matrilineal. What is it? Yeah, don't go Google it, please. Matrilineal, mother to daughter, and inherited one generation after the next. So if a burrow system is destroyed, people are incorrectly under the assumption that meerkats will simply move back into an area or come out after a burrow has been destroyed. No, my friends, that does not happen. Once the burrow is destroyed, they are destroyed and they cannot move back there. That is why myself, together with Associazione Suricati Italia, big shout out to you. Yeah, ciao a tutti. Grazie mille to all our Italian supporters out there in the association. You can check it out on Facebook. Of course, it's free to join, and so is my Meerkat Magic Moments and Mongoose Magic Moments channel on Facebook. Yeah. Point is, we are creating wildlife hotels, which are basically like terrestrial coral reefs. Let me break that down and make it less scientific. When people go out and sink ships and other structures into the sea, they create structures which polyps and other microorganisms can go and colonize, and then it starts attracting larger organisms, and eventually it becomes the equivalent of it's an artificial coral reef, basically. We are creating additional burrow systems, wildlife hotels. And there's that term again. If you haven't heard it, check out Google and you'll find out more about it. I've made videos of building the wildlife hotels, and you can build them as well. You don't need me to do it. No. Maybe you've got some animals living in your garden or around you that have lost their homes. Maybe you built over their home without even realizing it. Red fox, Vulpes vulpes. Not Vulpes shama, which is the Cape fox here. Yes, they're related to wolves as well, of course. Yeah, 5 nails on the front, 4 on the back, just like dogs, just like the yellow mongoose, Senectus peniculata. But I digress. Going back to the meerkat and other animals that are diggers, their burrows get destroyed. So in areas like the Western Cape, this is a highly endangered, possibly going to go extinct subspecies of the meerkat, Stocksterke, Erdmännchen. Yes, and it is tragic. And this reserve is protecting part of their remaining habitat. And I was the first in the world to start doing that here. And this reserve has been doing it since 2008. Long before many people even knew what a meerkat was. Yes, it's true. So, if you want to protect digging animals, stop destroying the homes that they live in. Yeah, and you can do that very easily. How, Grant? When we can't even see the ground, how do we know if there's a hole there? How do we know there's a meerkat living there or a mongoose? Exactly. How do we know about the porcupine and the ant bear, the termite vacuum cleaner, a termite's worst nightmare? A vacuum cleaner on legs. If we cannot see holes in the ground, how are we going to protect them? And this is the challenge that I have been facing for decades. And if we only write about our discoveries in scientific publications, and you are welcome to read my publications, fellow scientists out there, in case you think I'm pulling this out of nowhere. Yes, I've got over a scientific publications with Cambridge University Large Animal Research Group and Professor Tim Clutton-Brock, a legendary research biologist. Big shout out to you there, Tim, wherever you are right now. Sir David Attenborough has worked with our research site in the Kalahari Desert. That's the southern Kalahari next to Namibia and Botswana. And the Pretoria University Mammal Research Institute. So I kid you not when I tell you, if I just churn out scientific publications, other scientists may well read them, like from the Royal Society. Yes, top scientists in the world. But what about your neighbor or a farmer who has never even heard of a scientific paper, who has grown up in an area and never even knew that there were meerkats? Grant, what nonsense. Meerkats are one of the most adored favorite animals on the planet. Yes, yes, yes. No is my point. People is my point. People who have grown up in an area thinking they know what is there did not even know in 2001 with Nigel Marvin. A shout out to you, Nigel. Yeah. The point is this. People from around the world have seen them with me now, and they know they exist here because in the past, government conservation said, no, there's no such thing because they are in the Great Karoo over the mountain range to the north, the 2,000-meter high mountain. So that's a barrier with snow on it, and it will have snow on it probably after tonight because it's icy cold tonight. Yeah, we get winter snow, of course, but we can even get summer snow on the Great Black Mountain Range to the north, the Groot Swartberge, and the mountain range to the south, the Outeniquas, in December, when temperatures have been so hot the day before, 40 plus degrees centigrade. They have melted the bitumen. That's not a swear word. TikTok. Check it out. The tarmac, that black, gooey substance that melts when it gets very hot, and temperatures can exceed 50 degrees centigrade here. Centigrade, my friends, not Fahrenheit. So right now when I tell you I'm freezing, for me, a drop of 40 degrees centigrade, to put it in perspective, no matter where you are in the world, imagine you woke up and it was 40 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. That's what it's like for me right now. Yes, let's just do that again. Ooh. You're never too old to play, my friends. Just another reminder out there. Yes, so I like to say, remember to find that fun every day. For over 16 years, my beautiful puppies, as I call them, my beautiful dogs, which are world famous all over the internet, I called it the wisdom of puppies, because when you're around dogs, they just seem to be enjoying themselves incredibly. And I like to say animals can often remind people just to get a perspective check, a reality check, a wake-up call. Yes. So here's this hand. Listen carefully now, my friends, because I'm about to slap my face. Listen. Ooh, yes, that felt nice and warm. And again. Oh, yeah. I'm not making that up, my friends. So, of course, my other hand is holding the phone. The point is, don't go slap yourself unless you need a wake-up call. My wake-up call is this. Every day when I wake up, I have a look at the STONE Dojo Gym and I remind myself what my former self did. And I ask myself, will my future self thank me for what I did today? And that is why I like to say, don't make excuses. And nature conservation is all about not making excuses, but making a difference. And every little difference makes a difference. Every little pebble, every big boulder that took me 2.5 years to move up onto a hill without any machines, dragging it there by hand, because I don't give up. Doesn't matter how long it takes. And that's the symbolism behind it. Every little thing you can do can make a difference if you just start doing it. It's like that story, the glass is half empty or half full, optimism, pessimism, vice versa. And I'm going to tell you a little story, my interpretation of it. So please stick around for story time yet again, as I tell you about how you and everybody else are making a difference. Yes, yes, it is not an endless battle that we are losing. No, we are making a difference. Right now, when I go to sleep on this reserve, every cockroach, every little ant, everything other people may think is a pest, mosquitoes, etc., are all protected here and can go about living their lives as they choose to. Yeah. So that's making a difference. But the story goes as follows. So there's a person on the beach, male or female, doesn't matter. It's just the story behind it. And they are endlessly, it seems, crouching down, picking something off the surface and throwing it back into the ocean. You probably know this story because there are many versions of it. And in the distance, a person approaches them and wonders to themselves, what is that person doing? Wasting so much energy. And they look around and they see countless marine creatures on the ground, on the beach, stranded. And they think to themselves, oh, shame. Because they have compassion, they are empathetic. And they look at the creatures and they move on. Yeah, that's a choice we can make every day. And the other person is picking them up and throwing them back into the water. And it seems like an endless, thankless task, which is what conservation can seem like. I'm not paid to do what I do. I do it through choice. It's not a job. It's never ending. It's a mantle. Because we're all conservationists. Because by protecting nature, you are in fact protecting your very existence, my friends. That's the reality check out there. And the person asked the person who's throwing all of these marine creatures, as the example, but it can apply to anything, back into the sea. And they say, what are you doing? What an endless and stupid thing. You cannot make a difference to all of these millions and millions and millions and billions and trillions, whatever you like, organisms out here. Just leave them. Move on. And this is the point of my story, my friends, if you have made it this far. It makes a difference to this one, right? And that's the point in conservation here, in my opinion. Everything you do, every little rock in the dojo, every footstep you take, every action you make, makes a difference. It is your choice whether you wish to make a positive difference to the environment around you and spread out those ripples of positivity, as I like to say. And it's like a book, a film. What will they say when they watch your film one day? Or read your book? And of course, you can read my book. Oh, yes, but I'm not going to go on about that now, because that's not the point at all of my message. Everyone can make a difference. So if you want to sing, sing. Who cares if they say, I sound like an old frog or a rooster? I don't care. I do it because I can and I enjoy it, and it's my right to exist the way I choose to exist. Yeah. You don't decide where you are born, how you arrive on this rock, my friends. You don't. But you do decide what you do about it. Yeah. I hear the guinea fowl calling again, the tarantal, Numida meligris. For those who've been watching my streams for the years, I appreciate you. And you will know, you can Google search any of these scientific swear words I drop as science bombs, S-bombs. You heard it here first, not the F-bomb, the S-bomb. Science bomb. Yeah. So, getting back to the moon, my friends, which is what the stream is about, and just my meanderings. Yes. To say philosophical rumination. I'm chewing the philosophical cud with you out there, my friends, wherever you may be. Yes. Yes, there's another side. I do not just work with meerkats and mongoose, my friends. No. That is not where the nickname comes from. It is because I am an animal shrink, an animal psychologist. Some psychologists that have visited me from around the world have actually said this about my work, because it is called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and I'm fascinated by cognitive psychology, and that is why I was a guest in Queen Elizabeth Park in Uganda in '97, which I've mentioned to many before, working with banded mongoose, Mongos mongo, not Mongos gambianus. It is the most sociable mongoose on this rock, living in family groups of up to 60, and walking through almost what would look like this, only much denser in a form of jungle. Fortunately for us South Africans, we are incredibly lucky to have a huge abundance of wildlife in our wonderful and diverse rainbow nation. Big shout out to all and big, big love. Yes. KwaZulu-Natal to the eastern side and the northern side of South Africa. Shishlui, Umfolozi, Mkuzi, Cape Vidal, St. Lucia. Oh, I love those places so much. Yeah. World Heritage Site wetlands, by the way. Yep, that means it's your heritage too, my friends. So if you can visit it, if you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. How magnificent. So the banded mongoose. I was invited up to go and work with Dr. Jason Gilchrist, a legendary research biologist, trampled on 2 occasions by buffalo. I've told this story a few times, but I'm going to tell it again on the stream because it bears mentioning. Yes. Jason Gilchrist, you are a legend, brother, in research. Yes. He survived cerebral malaria. He survived getting trampled by buffalo. When do you get trampled by buffalo? On your morning walk to work or your morning commute? Maybe you're in New York. Maybe you're somewhere in the darkest recesses of a jungle. But I can tell you now, it is unlikely that you'll encounter a buffalo anytime soon when you're going to work, unless you are working in nature. So he was trampled twice and nearly got killed. I don't know how he survived. A buffalo is basically the equivalent of a giant cow on steroids. And just fine print here, I'm not promoting steroids. Just by the way, internet, in case you misinterpret the stream. Yeah, so the buffalo is basically on roids on a bad day. And if you happen to come across it, it is an extremely bad career move. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing out of terror. I can tell you now, the buffalo is not something you want to mess around with in the wild. I don't care how experienced you are in nature. Fellow guides and research biologists out there, do not make that one mistake. Yeah. And no, you will never know it was a one mistake. Only those who survive will know that was your one mistake. So stay away from buffalo, my friends. Yeah, Jason Gilchrist knows what it's like to feel those hooves trampling his ribcage into dust. I don't know how he survived that. I really don't. Except for his will for conservation and research to bring the world knowledge and to defeat ignorance. Yes, my friends, check this out. That light there, here's a bit of symbolism for you, is the equivalent of conservation, and that's without. Yeah. A glowing ember in the encroaching darkness of ignorance. So when you shine a light, yeah, I'm deliberately blinding you out there for a moment. I do apologize. Sorry, not sorry, because I'm making an example, my friends. And the example is, don't be part of the darkness out there, please. Because you are in fact defeating your own light. Yeah, you are nature. We are nature. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. It's a fact. I'm just telling you the facts. Yeah, I'm apolitical. Nature is for everyone. I represent nature conservation. That's it. So, I'm not affiliated to any university anymore or any institution. So when I tell you something, I'm giving you the real deal. I tell it as it is. I cannot be bought. Ethics is a choice. My wildlife research project, my conservation project, is all about the hands-off research approach, habitat conservation, and education. There are no visual pollutants, as I call them, on any of the study animals because they've never been touched by a human. Even though they may be within a few meters of me on occasion, I'm just a noisy object to them. I have never reached out to touch any of the animals on my study site, although in the Kalahari Desert, they have climbed on me and other research biologists, including the world-famous Professor Tim Clutton-Brock, as I mentioned before, who I worked for at the time. for 7 years in the Kalahari Desert. All right, moving on. The animals here do what they want when they want. They are a beautiful symbol of freedom. And I would like to get back to that point when I mentioned earlier the big five. I'll tell you more about the shy five. The shy five, my friends, is my original IP, intellectual property, for everyone else who's saying, oh, we came up. No, you did not. Go back in history and check. You will find I came up with that concept first. Yes, because it is a direct attack on thinking, because of the size of the animal, that it determines its value or importance. No, it does not. Everything has an intrinsic value and role. So, the shy five consists of porcupine, ant bear, aardwolf, bat-eared fox, and meerkat. But that's just a little example. Of course, the point is they're all small compared to the elephant, the rhinoceros, the buffalo, the leopard, the lion, the little five, rhinoceros beetle, elephant shrew, etc., etc. You get the idea. So, what am I on about? These are the true wild animals we still have around us. No, my friends, there are no wild lions. Oh, Grant, yes, they are. They're wild. No. If they are tame, because they're used to tour guides walking up to them and tour buses parking next to them, those are tame. They show unselective trust. A wild animal does not trust you unless you are a research biologist that it has got used to, because of what I was mentioning earlier, which is a very complex topic, and that's why I'm taking such a long time to explain it to you. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and why they say an animal whisperer is what I do. I whisper to animals, my friends. For our rappers out there, I invite you to imitate that. So, moving on. There are over 36 different sounds that meerkats make, and once you understand it, it is actually a language, and you can speak to them. It doesn't matter where they are born. They will understand exactly what you are telling them. Just like I was saying earlier in the stream, when many people are born, they can cry. And then they learn a different way of communicating based on the environment. But they all know what it means when the cry is made. Everybody, it's instinctive. You know what it is. And meerkats, with all of those different sounds already, it's incredible. Think of a cat or a dog, how many sounds they make. Now compare it to the incredible 36 plus sounds. And I've recorded these over decades, my friends. So, what's the point? Yeah. The little creatures out there are often overlooked, and these are all, without exception, dependent on wildlife hotels for their very survival. They cannot dig a hole in the ground in a matter of seconds to escape from a predator trying to make a little Happy Meal snack out of them. Yes. They cannot get away from that danger and dig an entire burrow system inherited from countless generations, possibly spanning hundreds or maybe even thousands of years. No, they cannot. So, here's an example, my friends, for you watching the stream right now. Welcome. I hope you're feeling safe. I hope you as a predator are nice and protected from the other wild predators out there. Yes. If you have a look at humans' eyes, they are pointing forward. We have binocular three-dimensional vision and depth perception, like an owl, like a lion, just to name a few predators. Then when we look at prey items, let's take an antelope. The eyes are to the side of the head. Why? Have you ever wondered? I wonder. Why are their eyes on the side of the head, not in the front of the head? Zzz. Yeah, why is that? Because they turn their heads from side to side. They do not have 3D vision, depth perception in the same way that predators do. They turn their head from side to side to get a better look at what is approaching. Maybe you've been in a reserve. Maybe you've seen an animal turning its head and turning its head. It is trying to work out how far you are as a threat to it. Yes, that's what that means. An owl can often bob its head from side to side, moving its head left and right. That's depth perception. Meerkats bob their heads up and down. Just a little distinction, a difference there. Yeah. The point is, all of these different animals that are out there in nature, that are wild right now, that are living in holes, are often unseen, and these are the ones that need to be protected even more than the elephant and rhinoceros. You're hearing it right now from me, my friends. a very controversial topic. Oh, but it's just the meerkat. Oh, it's just... No, 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 no. You see, we don't know how many there are right now in the world. This is a fact. It's a fact. AI, the most powerful AI right now, has no concept of how many there are, and nor do I. And I've studied them for longer than anyone else in history. And that's also a fact. Decades. Decades. So when I tell you IUCN, Red Data Book Species, to stop spewing out nonsense, telling the world that the meerkat is not an endangered species, I'm telling you it is impossible to know how many there are, but what we can know for a fact is how much habitat is left for them, specifically how many hotels or wildlife burrows for them to get away from danger are left. That we can verify. And that is why the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve exists right now, to protect some of the fragile last remaining habitat for this particular endangered subspecies of meerkat. Yes, so endangered that the people who lived here for hundreds of years didn't even record it as a species that occurs here, and nor did government conservation. Let me just put that out there again. Government conservation did not even know what was in their own country, in the capital of ostrich farming on this planet. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. Yes, that's why I said meerkat magic, because no, believe me, when I first found them here, because I believed they would be here, I found their burrows, I found the habitat, I found the food that lives in that kind of habitat, I found the ancient, fossilized, extinct riverbed systems that flood maybe every few years, or 40 or 80 years, like the Kalahari Desert and the Nossob, the Ayob, and the Kuruman riverbeds. And I said, yes, there are in fact meerkats here. You may have seen some of my films with the BBC National Geographic Discovery Channel and others, 50/50 television in South Africa, Groen Kyknet television, Peter Koen visited me, First Class South Africa, Henry Cole, I can go on, Simon King, Meerkats and Natural World, etc., etc. There's a long story, but few of these particular documentaries will focus on the actual threat that these species occur. Many just see the meerkat and go, oh, you're cute, oh, look at it, it's adorable, oh, it's lovely, inverted commas, air quotes, non-scientific, anthropomorphic statements, blah, blah, blah. All right, the point I'm making is this. If we want to protect one of the most incredible species that people love all over the media and have for decades, people need to catch a wake-up right now, as we say in South Africa. Hulle gaan 'n klap moet kry om wakker te skrik, my vriende, want hulle dink dit is nie 'n bedreigde spesies, en dit is. Maar nie net die species, die subspecies. All right, just a little shout out to our Afrikaans friends. If you're one of them out there, please drop a heart. Yeah, show some love, show some love. Don't be shy. The fact is this. I tell it as it is. I've got nothing to hide, and I will give you the facts. Undiluted. Yes. Open source research, conservation through education, that's what I'm about. All right, so the meerkats do live here, and people who inherited properties from one generation to the next assured me, no, 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 I've grown up here, my father's father's, etc. was here, you get the picture, but it's a fact. There's no such thing until I found them and proved that they are actually here. Got the first photographs and video in the entire world. It's another fact. And published it in my book, those photographs of meerkats with a mountain range, an enormous mountain range behind them, a World Heritage Site mountain range, this Groot Swartberge, the Great Black Mountain Range, with snow on it and meerkats in front of it. That's right, my friends. I have been up on the Great Black Mountain Range Pass that had snow on it in a December when the previous day's temperatures were nearly 50 degrees centigrade, and I built a snow meerkat. I'm sure it's the first in history to ever be built on the Great Black Mountain Range. And think about it, people didn't even know what that was or that it was here. And that morning, I watched meerkats wake up at sunrise and photographed them with snow in the background on the mountain range. Can you believe? No, most people didn't. What a trip that was for me. Wow, it's magical. And every time I see meerkats and mongoose specifically, I say, this is just incredible. It's like magic. Nobody even believed they were here. Now, with that in mind, that's why I take such a long time to explain these things in details, my friend, because you can watch this full stream. Hopefully, I will upload it to YouTube in the next day or two. Yeah, and you can listen to all my ramblings to get to this point, which is a critical point when it comes to conserving meerkats. How do you go into an area known as the capital of ostrich farming and ask people to stop farming ostriches that are trampling the ground and destroying burrows, or they are plowing, the people that is, are plowing the ground with their machines, to be very pedantic, and destroying wildlife hotels under the ground for animals that they didn't even believe were there, and that government conservation officials say, no, there's no such thing, and all the distribution maps are wrong. Oh, please do not go and destroy this piece of sensitive ecology because there are animals living here. Well, as the saying often goes, tragically, at the moment in the world, if it pays, it stays. So I developed a unique in the world concept of ecotourism, and I did it for 9 years. Now I work in my own reserve, and I bring you live streams, the unedited versions of the truth. Yeah, and the real weather forecast as well, of course, because it's very cold as I stand out here. Yep, there's some breath, vapor. So, my friends, how do you protect the Shy Five? One of my guests, and I've had thousands of guests from all over the world, beautiful people, coming out. One couple, the husband was 91 and his wife was 93. Phenomenal. Their combined age life experience over 180 plus years, my friends, and they were both crying. Yeah, not out of sadness. Not out of sadness. Their entire lives had gone by to that point, and they'd never been out in nature to watch those wild animals that they were watching. And that is what I like to bring for people. You cannot buy that experience. You cannot. It doesn't matter how many trillions you may have. You cannot say, oh, I want one of those now. No, you have to earn it. There's no other way around it. And that's also why I say no excuses at the STONE Dojo Gym, martial arts dojo. You have to earn it. No, oh, I want to buy that bicep or tricep or delt grant. No, you have to go out and earn it. And that is why I respect everybody who earns it the hard way. Yeah, because I know what it's like. You inflict pain. You have to tear down previous versions or iterations of yourself to rebuild them if you wish to get stronger. That is the only way if you want real gains. Yeah. So, the same is true in conservation. We have to tear down the walls of ignorance that have existed and shed the light, just like this beautiful moon, onto the truth. Yeah. And many people watch AI nowadays. I myself am astounded by it. But I can tell you now, no All right. That's a little confusion going on right there as my brain starts to freeze in this 0-degree temperature. No AI is going to do what I'm doing for you right now. Yeah. Because I am on a boundary out here. We are not going to have that happening anytime soon or ever. Yeah. Come back in another few years and ask me what happened with that. Yeah, let's see. But the point is this. How do you go about protecting animals in the ground that people don't even believe are there? How do you get rid of that ignorance? You don't get rid of it by fining people saying, oh, but you have too many livestock here. They're eating everything. You must remove them. No. I believe in creating an awareness, an interest, a greater understanding. Ultimately, I wish to inspire through appreciation and motivation so that it becomes self-motivated conservation, which is sustainable. Not, oh, you must do it or else. No. No. So my point from that is the meerkats and the mongooses, we ask people not to destroy the holes in the ground where these animals have lived because they have a critical role to play in the ecosystem. And you may recall, if you've been watching the stream or you watch the whole stream and at another point from YouTube, my little test. Yes, thousands of guests from all nationalities around the planet who have been with me will know what I'm talking about when I tell you the following. You will have exactly 5 seconds, my friends. Imagine now this is you with me out here in a reserve, and I say, you have got 5 seconds, but let's not make it so simple. Here you are. Let's take you down to meerkat and mongoose eye level. Yeah? Where is the hole in the ground? Where is the burrow? Unless you are following smell trails, which need to be reinforced and reposted every single day, and you, my friends, have absolutely no way to know for sure where the nearest escape tunnels are here. I know where they are. The animals that grew up in this neighborhood know where they are, but you do not. And that is why females are the leaders with meerkats, because female inherits the territory from her mother and she was born there, and males migrate from one territory to the next. There's no inbreeding incest within meerkat groups. They are genetically unrelated. Just another fact for you, and this is why meerkats all around the world in captivity are becoming more and more inbred. It's a disaster, but that's another massive topic I won't cover right now. So, I hope you agree with me. And even if you don't agree with me, it doesn't in fact matter, because this point will illustrate itself very clearly. You cannot know where the holes in the ground are for safety, and if you let a meerkat or mongoose go in the wild and you think there's no other meerkat or mongoose there that will find it and kill it, I would like to tell you there's a war going on with meerkats and mongooses right now all around the world where they occur, and it's a territorial and resource war. It's a breeding rights and opportunities war. And if you think they are not there, I would like to remind you, these are the real wild animals, the shy 5 I mentioned earlier. They are not like the elephant and rhinoceros and lion. No. These are real wild animals. Yeah, I'm not talking about a game reserve or a game farm that has brought them there or their babies have been born there. I'm talking about an unbroken line of wildness that has never been influenced by humanity touching it or moving it or transporting it or culling it or managing it in any way. These are the real wild animals that will go through, over, and under fences. These are the digging mammals. Porcupine, ant bear, aardwolf, bat-eared fox, meerkats are just examples of those. So what? You might wonder. Get to the point. All right, so you've got 5 seconds. But I'm going to make it a little more interesting before I start the clock, just to be fair. Because, of course, this is probably your first time hearing this example given to me by a friend of mine in the Kalahari, which I'm now passing on to you, about a survival test in the wild. These animals grow up in the wild. They know where the burrows are. They know what is dangerous. They know what isn't dangerous. They know research biologists like myself and people who are with me in general, film crews, etc., can get near the animals because they know we are not a threat over many, many years, even decades of working with them. We are also part of the neighborhood. If you arrive in the neighborhood, they will recognize you for kilometers away. Birds will start making alarm calls. Insects like the sneaky cicada, I call it, inverted commas, air quotes on that human term. Non-scientific. Yeah, the sneaky cicada tells no lies. That's an eco poem I wrote about the silent call is the loudest of all in my Meerkats book, 2016. Yes, the cicada will stop going. Don't adjust your volume. That's not even nearly as loud as it can get. It is a deafening roar. And it is loud, loud, loud. Just a little information about the insect before going on with the story time. They vibrate timbals in their abdomens, which make the sound of this buzzing. Yeah, that's to attract a mate. They sapsuckers, and they will sit on a tree and they will move around the tree if you approach them and basically try and hide. They're often very cryptic, disruptive crypsis, which is basically just camouflage, which makes it difficult for the animals to be seen. Quite often, animals that are well camouflaged, just a side note, are well camouflaged, and they basically know, inverted commas on the non-scientific term, that they are delicious and that something is going to try and eat them, so they try and hide. Beware of the aposematic or warning marked individuals who have red, black, yellow, etc., like bees and wasps, etc., and monarch butterflies, to name a few, and wasps with bright red or orange markings on them, and spiders, like the black widow, who are letting you know, don't make a mistake. I will sacrifice myself for the species, is what that message is, the aposematic marking, so that next time you encounter my kind, you will leave us alone, because we are very toxic or venomous. And just a quick note, you can be both. I've had a lot of people in herpetology arguing on the internet, and it's pointless because you're all missing the fact, those who get this incorrect, and I'm just going to correct you now if you're one of them. Snakes inject venom, yes, not poison. However, you do get snakes that are poisonous and venomous, because the poison can be in the skin. I wonder if you knew that, my friends. So stop correcting everyone out there and being pedantic, because I have to come in and then correct you. Yeah, the fact is, you'll know who you are if you get this message. Anyway, the point about all of that is, there are creatures out there who are advertising and others that are not. The cicada, the sneaky cicada, is a neighborhood watch. If it goes quiet, the silent call, in other words, that all the animals are hearing, because it starts at about 28 degrees, 36 degrees sometimes. I call it a bush thermometer. When it gets hot, it starts practicing its singing exercises. Yeah, so the cicada is going, mee, and now suddenly it stops. That is an alarm, my friends. If you move into an area in the wild, in nature, and it is quiet, it is most likely because you are there and everything is aware of your presence, and now they are hiding from you. As I mentioned earlier with the popping sounds of the frogs, all around, click, 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 pop, pop, pop. Yeah, they will stop calling if there's a bat that is going to come down and eat them. There are specific bats that eat frogs. They specialize in that. And it has been shown that certain frogs in those areas will only call a certain number of times and then keep quiet. They're trying to attract a mate, but they're not trying to become a dinner date. All right, moving along. So, the cicada warns of any potential danger in an area, part of the neighborhood watch. And if you move into an area and you're trying to find out and do a survey on how many meerkats or mongoose are in an area, you've already lost any potential chance of seeing them. They have gone below ground. They not only can see you for kilometers away, they really can. Their eyesight is better than a 10 by 10 binoculars that we have used many times to try and understand what is in the air. They'll see something in the air that is far away. We can only maybe see a speck in the sky, and we'll look at it and then look away and make a call of the following. And I'll teach you a little meerkat call right now, my friends. You can verify this. This is what we call the all is well call. It's a single note, a double note, a triple note, a multiple note, usually 4. And if something has been seen, they'll go, that is a warning call. We call it a worry call. The volume increases, and so does the frequency amount with proximity or closeness. But a meerkat can tell the difference between something that is a threat in the sky and something that is a threat on the ground. Let's say a harmless water bird or birds. There were 3 of them this morning for those who saw the stream. You can check it out. Allopochin aegyptiagus flew past this morning, and meerkats could be watching them, and they just look at them briefly because they see them here often. They will not make an alarm call. However, if there is an alarm, because most of the food that meerkats eat in the wild can be buried down to 2 meters deep, like Tanopus garrulus. Oh, I miss Tanopus garrulus. For herpetologist friends out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. The barking gecko. Go to the Kalahari Desert near the Namibia and Botswana border. Tuck, 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 tuck. 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 Yeah, there's my stereo impression of a male Tanopus garrulus, barking gecko, blacheki, a very camouflaged animal. And camouflage does not help them at all against mongoose and meerkats because they will smell their food. It doesn't matter if it's trying to hide. They will smell it because they're not hunting by vision when they're looking for food up close. And when their heads are under the ground, that is why I call them in my book the hunted hunters. Because as they are hunting, they are also being hunted. And I'm getting to my point about this test. This is all building up to it. Yes. Now, they have inherited a territory from generations and generations and generations. They know where all the escape tunnels are, which you as a visitor cannot possibly know. Maybe you'll run screaming wildly in terror if a predator is attacking you. But maybe you'll find a burrow. Maybe, maybe not. Do you want to take that risk? Now people release a meerkat or a mongoose into a territory that has never grown up there. It has no idea where it is and where the safety is. It cannot possibly know this. And we know this is also true because meerkat males follow the females when they move into a territory where the females are, because they do not know the territory. When the female makes the following call, it means let's go, let's move. Everyone will stop whatever they're doing and follow her. She calls the shots. She is the queen. If you release meerkats into the wild, they're as good as dead. So do not, please think, you can rehabilitate meerkats into an area you know nothing about. You do not know the neighborhood, my friends out there. You know who I'm talking about if you're one of them. Yes, because you cannot. If there are meerkats there, because they are the true wild animals, if the habitat is suitable, they will have saturated every usable place. They are scent marking everything and fighting with each other to the death every single day. And if you bring a meerkat into that area and release it, if there are meerkats there, they will find it and kill it. Yeah, that is the tragic reality. So people who've had them as pets, it's illegal to have them as pets in South Africa finally, and think, oh, shame, let me let it go, it's dead. So don't think you're doing it a favor. Some hard truths which many people don't like to hear, but these are the facts. And that's what I'm here to give you. So, the truth, not AI lies, or what I like to say, artificial deception, my friends. Yeah, please let me know if you agree with that. So, as we look up at the moon, the inspiration for me this evening, and all of you, of course, I would like to tell you the following. The animals self-regulate. They are the true wild animals, not like elephant and rhinoceros and lion who have been fenced in. It doesn't matter how big their territories are. They cannot go wherever they want anymore. These animals, however, do. The porcupine will go under the fences, through and over the fences. No, unless the fences collapse. Some people have asked me about that. Yes, they can climb to a degree. They even arboreal porcupine. Yeah, in America, they climb trees. So, yeah. But meerkats will often sit in fences. I've seen them there. It's hysterical for me to look at that. Looking out, and there's this fence, and there's the meerkat just sitting there like it's an armchair. I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes meerkats will go up on guard for over 3 hours long, as I tell you various little stories. I've seen them climbing up on trees, Acacia areoloba, the kameeldoring, the camel thorn in the Kalahari Desert, over 8 meters high. And many times they will just fall down onto their heads, bashing themselves all the way down. It's horrendous. But they are very good at climbing up, but they are not like cats. They don't have retractile nails. The nails cannot withdraw into the skin. Just a quick point about cat species. Many people simply assume, oh, yeah, all cats have retractile nails. No, the cheetah, and this is a horrendous scientific name, Achinonyx or Acinonyx jubatus, Acinonyx jubatus. Acinonyx jubatus. If you even get the spelling wrong, you lose a mark in nature conservation exams, just by the way. Yeah. Genus, capital letter, species, small. Anyway, moving on. Achinonyx jubatus or Acinonyx jubatus has partially retractile nails. They are not like a dog's nails. They cannot fully withdraw, but they are not also permanently fixed out of the paw. All right, so the meerkats that live in an area dig holes all the time. They know where the burrows are. They maintain them. It's a regular maintenance. And I'm going to tell you one last point, because this is a long point to get to my exam. And I hope you all pass it tonight, my friends, so stick around. It is the only one of its kind in the world right now on the internet. Yes, because this is only live streamed by a wildlife research biologist right now, coming to you from a reserve. Right here. Facts. So, the test is about to commence, my friends. Yes. But before I start the test, so now you have arrived in this territory, let me introduce you to some of the neighbors who want to eat you if you're a meerkat or mongoose. Yes, I would like to give you a fair chance, which is basically 99%, 99.9999999% chance that you will not find a burrow, but all the same. I have had guests scrambling around and running around trying to find burrows. Yeah. And unless you know where they are, you will not find them. Unless you stumble across them. And that's also not a good career move because you could break your leg. All right. The dog agrees with me. Yeah, it's not a good idea. The dog is one of the predators here. And I hear an alarm. Something's disturbed the dog. There's a hunter out there right now. Yes, I hear the crown plover starting to make an alarm. It's a terrestrial nesting bird, ground nesting bird, also known as the Kivit Vanellus coronatus, that particular one. We've got armatus here as well, the blacksmith plover. Oh, it's another call, a distant one calling, marking their territory. If they suddenly get too alarmed, they'll fly up into the air, making a horrendous noise. And everyone will be alert. So, those are your allies. That's part of the neighborhood watch. Yes, so this is the story. The lanner falcon is the fastest creature on Earth, on this rock right now. And that is a fact. The lanner falcon. Yeah, that's me, everyone. I'm freezing to bring you this message. Yeah, water vapor. Woo, it's cold. It's under freezing by now, for sure. So, the lanner falcon can reach speeds over 384 kilometers an hour. You can Google fact check that. They have special... Yeah, I'm just letting that sink in, how fast that is. Imagine that, 384 kilometers an hour. Over 100 plus miles an hour, my friends, out there. Yeah. They've got special nasal adaptations in their nose, their beaks, to stop their heads from exploding when they dive at that speed. Can you imagine the G-force that they're picking up? Now you are a meerkat. Meerkat manner. Shout out if you know that. Millions of people have watched that from our previous study site in the Kalahari Desert, my past study site. Moving on. So the meerkat is walking around, the mongoose is walking around. They know where all the holes are. They've grown up there. They know exactly what's going on. When the cicada stops calling, they will all stand up and become alert. Yes. The bird stops calling. The antelope stands up and looks around. It sees me. It doesn't matter because the meerkat standing next to me let it know I can't possibly be a threat because they're standing next to me. So I have got myself into the neighborhood. It's like a passport. You are not the outsiders in a game drive vehicle looking in or even on a game walk. You are part of the neighborhood. Yeah, it's an incredible universal pass. I've walked up to completely unknown wildlife and they have tolerated me entirely within meters, simply because the animals I'm with are among the most vigilant of all. After all, they tricked humanity into believing they weren't even in this area for hundreds of years. And that's a fact. Anyway, so now we are walking into the neighborhood. Here comes the lanner falcon, my friends. How fast can you run? Let me put that into another bit of perspective checking for you. A lion can reach 100 meters in under 5 seconds, probably, if it is feeling a bit lazy. A little sprint. They're very powerful and quick sprinters. So please do not climb out of your vehicle as people have done when I was up in the Kalahari National Park. It used to be called the Gemsbok National Park on the boundary of Namibia and Botswana. Those who've been up there, big shout out to you. Incredible predator diversity there. And even though I was wearing my green National Parks Board epaulets on my khaki outfit in conservation, walking around with meerkats in the Nosob riverbed system, I had guests stopping in their vehicles and climbing out, thinking this is some kind of a picnic site just to walk up to me. Never mind that there are lions all around that area, and when I'm with meerkats, of course, they see the lions, they see everything way before anything else. So please do not go walk around and just climb out of your vehicle in a reserve as a general rule. All right, moving on. You may have been on a game drive. You may have been with an experienced game drive presenter. I call them Jeep jockeys. I've also done it in Pilansberg Game Reserve near Sun City. Just a quick there. You are the outsiders looking in, and that's how they say, please do not put your arms or limbs out of a vehicle because it changes the shape of the vehicle, and then predators will notice and they will suddenly be very alert. I was in a recent, and I won't mention where, maybe you'll know if you can work it out on my social media, game drive where we were watching some lions, and the driver stopped, and I was like, no, because the lioness was smelling us, looking up. I can tell you now, if you've ever looked into a lion's eyes, you'll know what I'm talking about, or into a martial eagle, Palmeitas bellicosus, what a name, or into an owl's eye, you will know what it is like to be on the menu. And it is not a good experience. But I think everyone should experience it just as a perspective check. Yeah. Because the wind was blowing directly towards her from the game vehicle. If anybody had to move their hand out of that vehicle, they could have been attacked. It is extremely dangerous. Oh, and by the way, the little canvas screens they put on most of these vehicles, yeah, which I call tinned takeaways. You heard it here. Next time you might be on a game drive, please remember I just said that, because remember, it's like going for a swim in the sea. Just because you think it's a lovely day doesn't mean the sharks are not looking for food. Sharks get a terrible reputation and it's unjustified when we're in their environment. It's just what they do. It's their job. Anyway, I'm not going to go on to that topic now because I've got so many other topics opened up. So when you are in a vehicle like that, please check that you've got some kind of security set up to stop people putting their arms out of a vehicle or legs or whatever, or heads. Yeah. But the vehicle I was in, and I jokingly said in front of everyone at the time, because they didn't know about this, I said, why are we the only vehicle out of all the game drive vehicles, and there were 8, that doesn't have canvas walls on the side? Are we basically chumming the water going out? Yeah. And on that very game drive, that's almost what happened. So just a moving on little bit of story, which I have not told anyone else about until right now. I won't go into details beyond that. The point is, many people are the outsiders looking in when you're on a game drive. Moving on. When you're a wildlife research biologist like Jason Gilchrist, Dr. Jason Gilchrist, out of respect, trampled by buffalo on a bad day, yeah, bitten by mosquitoes, you are in the real world. That is the real world, not some fenced-in little Walt Disney experience. Yeah, I'm throwing out some hard truths here tonight, my friends. Yes. Oh, look at that moon. What a beautiful... I just had to let out that howl. I hope you do too, my friends. Wake your neighbors. Let them know that they're part of the wild. Yeah, experience. We are predators, and you are part of nature. Please never forget it. Roar. Experience your inner beast. Release your inner beast. Okay. So, now that I've said that, here is the test. Lana Falcon, 384 kilometers an hour. You better run. You better run your off, as they say in the Matrix. When the Sentinels find you. I wonder if you've heard that line. Anyway, moving on. The uncensored version. Anyway, I'm not going to get TikTok on my case about that. So, the peregrine falcon is a bit slower, but much faster than any of us. also over 100 plus kilometers an hour. The scientific name, in case you're wondering, because both of these species, the lanner and the peregrine falcon, occur here. I just wanted to let you know this was a deliberate use of common names to confuse you, perhaps, because you may well know that when I said lanner falcon, it was a test. I'm talking about a peregrine falcon. It is not the lanner falcon that has speeds of 384 kilometers an hour. Haha, that was just a warm-up. I wonder how many people picked up on that. Yes, my friends, I'm talking about Falcobiarmicus, Falcobiarmcus, Falcobiarmicus. I'm talking about the peregrine falcon is the fastest on the planet, not the lanner. And an easy way of remembering it is lanner was last. Easy. So, the lanner falcon, yeah, is slower than the peregrine falcon. Yeah, Falcobiarmicus and Falcoperegrinus. Peregrinus will get out there and try and eat you. So to wrap this up before my brain freezes and seizes completely now, because it's well under freezing now. Yeah, lots of moisture in the air. You've got 5 seconds, my friends. Let's shake this up. Let me slap my face once more. Ooh, yes, and one more. Yes, yes. If you haven't ever done that in your life, my question to you is why not? Pain is only imaginary. Yeah, you'll know this if you train at a gym. No pain, no gain. Yeah. Just nerves telling your central brain, your driver, what's going on. Who's in charge? Are your nerves in charge? Anyway, moving along. So you've got 5 seconds or less to get away to safety. And the timer starts. Are you ready, my friends? In 5, 4, 3. This is a count up, not a countdown, just giving you an extra bit of a chance. Please find a nearby escape tunnel and do not come out until the danger has passed. 4, 5, run. And if you do not escape, you will be eaten by the predator if you are a meerkat or mongoose. Oh, where's the burrow? Let's just go down to meerkat height again, my friends. Where's the burrow? Ooh, is it there? Is it there? Is it? Guess what, my friends? That's the buzzer. Your time is up. If you snooze, you will lose. The predators have also grown up in that neighborhood, and they are master killers. They are not going to give you a second chance. Oh, no, I'm feeling benevolent today. I'm going to let you go. No. No, no, no. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sight. Oh, magnificent, my friends. No matter where you are, I hope you're out there looking at it as well. Take me with you, please. Like I'm doing with you right now. All right, moving on. So, I hope you escaped. The chances are most will not. Please relay the story. You can give them the shortened version of it, or they can watch this entire stream, which is now the longest wildlife stream on the planet. Out of billions of people, you are part of the history right now on the stream. That's also a fact. So, it's nearly time for me to sign off, my friends. I do appreciate you coming along on my journey of philosophical rumination. I've covered many, many points, and that is only a tiny little bump in the surface of conservation. And it's back to my musical creations. Please drop some love and please do share all over the internet. I appreciate you, and please come to my YouTube channel, check out Instagram, X, and the Facebook channels. I hope to see you again, my friends. And remember, you are worth it. So don't make those excuses. Get out there, find that fun, get out there, start making a difference so your future self will thank you for it. Make a deposit in your fitness bank. And remember, do not be afraid to howl at the moon. Release your inner beast. You heard it here, my friends. And that's right. It's the man behind the hand, author, the Meerkat Man, the Mongoose Man, signing off from the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve of the Meerkat Magic Conservation Project. I love you too. Thank you so much. I hope you have an excellent one. I will see you again soon.